Welcome to University of Siliconandra, the summer 2021 free webinar series. Today is the first of the 7 series that we have wonderful webinars lined up. So before we get into the topic of the today, I want to welcome you all to university and then share a couple of pointers about the university. University of Siliconandra is a non-profit organization. It's an academic institution um, offering programs in Indian fine arts and languages. My name is Raju Chamarthi. I am the Provost and Chief Academics Officer at University of Siliconandra. The university has been operating for 5 years now, and we have 5 departments: Department of Kuchipudi, Carnatic Music, Bharatanatyam, Sanskrit, and Telugu. We offer certificate, diploma, and master's programs. Please visit our website, universityofsiliconandra.org, for more details. We have several information sessions and these kind of webinars that are free, wonderful topics by our esteemed faculty. So further any delay, I would like to get started. Again, one more request, please keep yourself muted. And towards the end of the presentation, you would have an opportunity to raise your hands and you can ask the questions at that time. I want to welcome, there are several faculty members of our university here today in presence. Welcome you all. And we also have Dr. Amy Catalin, who is the board of trustee of the university. Welcome, Dr. Amy. Thank you to have you here for this presentation. So without any further delay, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Yashoda Thakur, who is the chairperson of the department, to introduce the faculty of the Kuchipudi department, who would be talking about the significant features of Kalapams in Kuchipudi. That is the topic, a wonderful topic. So thank you, Dr. Yashoda Garu. Please take it from here, madam.
Thank you, Raj Garu. Namaskaram to all of you. And thank you for being here to meet us, the faculty at Kuchipudi department, and also for this topic, which is the significant features of Kalapams in Kuchipudi. We have with us Dr. Ramadevi and Dr. Sumitra Veluri presenting the topics to you. Just a little bit about them is Dr. Ramadevi has done her doctorate in the comparative study of Aharya Abhinaya, the Chaturvida Abhinaya between Kathakali and Kuchipudi. Her books are well known to students of dance who have been studying for the certificate and the diploma courses otherwise. And she has the merit of being the only person who's dancing the Bhama Kalapam, Gola Kalapam, and the Dadinamma Kalapam. Welcome here, Ramaka, as I call you. And she will be talking about the genesis, number of Kalapams, and the salient features of the Kalapams to all of you. Then we have Sumitra, Dr. Sumitra Veluri, whose topic in her PhD has been the origin and development of Kuchipudi dance with special reference to Bhama Kalapam. So this qualifies both of them perfectly to be here to talk to you about Kalapams. Sumitra will talk about the lesser spoken aspects of Kalapams, which I always find very interesting whenever she talks to us about it. She will focus on the textual and the performance traditions on the canvas of all the Kalapams that are danced outside Kuchipudi and how all of them have kind of contributed to what we see as the Kuchipudi Kalapam. Is that right, Sumi? So thank you to both of you. And I just want to tell you a little bit about the two of them. They make sure the history and the flavor of the original Kuchipudi is in place in the department, while the rest of us, Dr. Anupama Kailash, who's with us, Devi Girish, Yamini Yashoda, and Katyayani, the rest of us work around making it relevant and making it, bringing in the social aspect of all these. Thank you again. Over to you, Ramaka and Sumi. Each of them will talk for about half an hour and we'll have about 15 to 20 minutes of question answers.
Thank you, Yashoda Garu. Thank you. And I also want to take a brief moment to recognize the presence of Dr. Pappu Venugopal Rao Garu, who is the chairman of board of our trustees at the university. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. Pappu sir, welcome. Good morning. Ramadevi Garu and Sumitra Garu, floor is yours.
Thank you, sir.
I'll start first because I think to understand any art form, we should have a clear understanding of its origin, history, and development. And I always feel so proud that I'm learning this ancient Kuchipudi dance tradition. So I just want to share with you how this Kuchipudi dance originated. And you all know Kuchipudi dance is one of the Indian classical dance form. And in my 65 years of learning of this art form, I started learning this Kuchipudi dance at the age of 5. So I really feel that this Kuchipudi dance is a mirror image of Natya Shastra. And no other classical forms follow Natya Shastra as strictly as our Kuchipudi follows. In Shovana Narayan's book, Indian Classical Dances, she says, Kuchipudi and Kathak, both originally being main dance forms, claim themselves to be the direct descendants of Bharata. You may be wondering, how is this possible? Yes, I am giving the reference too. In the last chapter of Natya Shastra, which mentions the descent of Natya on the earth, it says that the Bharata Putras were cursed by the sages and they had to come and live on the earth as humans. Bharata sent his son to the Nahusha's kingdom on the earth, and the Pratishthanapuram was the capital of Nahusha, which comes under the Yunar dynasty. And if you see the history of Pratishthanapuram, during the 12th century, this city was destroyed by Muslim kings, and many Brahmins and Kshatriya clans, abandoning their homes, migrated to distant places during the medieval period. And another reference is, according to link that, Eddanapudi Babu Rao Garu, he says in his book titled Kuchipudi Natya Charitra, which is an excellent book which is in Telugu, that during the medieval period, there emerged many villages, new villages in the area of Krishna district. Among them, one was Kushilavapuri, where exclusively Brahmin artists used to live. These artists were called as Kushilavas, hence the village was known as Kushila, which gradually transformed into Kuchipudi. Now, who are these Kushilavas? For that also we have reference that from Natya Shastra's 35th chapter, that he who can play the principles of instrumental music and is an expert in playing instruments is called Kushila. So, Kuchipudi is transformed from Kushilavapuri. And these Kushilavas later adopted the name of the village to their tradition. So where is this village? It is in the current Andhra Pradesh in Krishna district. This region was also called as Divisima, and it was a cultural hub from ancient period. Now, if you see the history of Andhra, the first reference we get about the word Andhra from Aitreya Brahmana of Rigveda. According to it, the Andhras left north part of India from the bank of river Yamuna and migrated to the South India. Now we can connect there the lines what I have spoken, that Kushilavas came from north part of India, where the Yamuna river flows, and they came to South India, where the Krishna river is there. Even Bharata, while talking about the pravritti, when he is talking about the Dakshinatya pravritti, he explains that the people in this region are very fond of art and music, and we can find many kinds of dance styles, songs, and musical instruments in this region. So, I feel the Kuchipudi Bhagavatulus are the descendants of Bharataputra. And the history, if you want to know, we have to know how dance developed in the Andhra region. The history and technique in the Dakshina Bharata, in particular with Andhra, because we are talking about the Kuchipudi Kalapa, it can be traced from the period of Satavahana. Actually, it is before also is there, but I am giving the reference from Satavahana, authentically it is there. Now, current Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Maharashtra, all the regions were under the Satavahana rule. The Satavahana kings, they patronized the Prakrita language more than Sanskrit language. And they encouraged Buddhism and Hinduism also. Then the region was ruled by Pallavas. Pallavas also patronized art, especially dance. After Pallavas, Eastern Chalukyans ruled from 7th to 11th century. All these kings made significant donation to the dancers and musicians. They even included these art forms in their education curriculum system as Gandharva Vidya. If you see in Andhra, dance developed in two directions. Most of dance students will be knowing this, that is Natya Mela and Natava Mela. So the Natava Mela is the dance performed in the temple by the Devadasis. It mostly consists, it is performed by women, and Natava Mela, sorry, Natya Mela is by the Bhagavatulu, the Brahmin men. In Natya Mela, Yakshaganam seems to be one of the earliest form of performing art tradition of Andhra. And we get the earliest reference to this Yaksha singing, Yakshagana, Yaksha singing the Gana, from the Palkuri Somanatha's Panditaradhya Charitra from the 12th century. He describes in the Parvata Prakarana the performance of then existing art forms and how they used to perform. He also explains that one lady comes behind the curtain and she performed. So when it was performed at Shivaratri festival at Srisailam. Though this Yakshagana word is used as an umbrella term, various texts in Telugu literature give that this Yakshaganas originated from Andhra side. So we can say from all the references that a woman of a tribal community who used to sing and dance to various stories from Puranas and entertain the pilgrims near the temple. When you see the ragas they have used were very old ragas which are not used in this current situation. The elite people who witnessed these dances liked them and they wrote these stories, and by adding more Desi chandas, and they brought a classical appearance to these songs, and since then it was called as Yakshagana Nataka. Now this Yakshaganas are three kinds, Travyamulu, Drishyamulu, and both together. Travyamulu means only audible, and Drishyamulu means which you can see, and both together. Now in the Travyamulu, they were only used to sing, like Harikada. They used to only sing. We can see the old tradition of our Andhra, that Harikada singing. It was only singing. Then they added acting part into it. So the lady, a female singer, in the disguise of Yakshini, she sang and narrated. And the first reference we get for this Yakshini singing is from the Obaya Mantri's Garudachala Mahatmya. In that, he says that the presentation involved description of scenes, prose interludes, connecting one incident to another, announcement of character, interaction, and dialogues of various characters. All these are rendered by only one person. And even Chintalapati Lakshmi Narayana Shastri Garu also in his book says Yakshagana text started in 11th and 12th century, and Jakkula songs were developed into Yakshagana. Now, in the Andhra region, there is, this Jakkula. Who is this Jakkula? Let us understand. In Andhra region, there existed a musical tribal community called Jakkula. They were the tribal community. In course of time, they adopted the theatrical performances. And since then, their songs were called as Jakkula Pata. And the lady performer who performs was called as Jakkula Purandhari. Even today in our Kuchipudi, even I perform the Jakkini Daruvu, which I learned from Pashupati Sheshababu Garu. So these were called as Veshakada because the Vesham character is narrating the story. That's why it is called as Veshakada. This character will be telling the stories from the Bhagavata Ramayana. And it is only one person, since it is called as Ekapatra Kelika. Kelika means entertainment. So later in the second stage, they introduced another male character called Tunkari Kondadu. Then it became the Vipatra Kelika. That means two characters. These two characters were called in some places as Singi Singadu, and sometimes it is Somayaji and Somidevi. In the third stage of development, they included many characters which was called as Bahupatra Kelika. So the first stage of the development was Veshakadha, and the second stage is, we can call it as Kalapas. And when it came to the Bahupatra Kelika, it developed into Vidhi Nataka, and later it is Yakshagana Nataka. There is another opinion also that Kuravanji is also considered as another name for Yakshagana itself, which is a significant character. Even we can see the Padmavati Srinivasa Kalyanam also, soothsaying woman will come, and the main theme will be the heroine will be separated from her hero and she will be yearning to unite. Then this Kuravanji or Singi will come and she give the hope, predicts, and she will say that you will be meeting your lover very soon, and she gives the Nayaka the hope, and she gets along with good gifts. So this, sometimes there is another character, Singadu. Her husband also appears on the scene, and he suspects her chastity, and a jovial fight between both of them happens in a funny slang language. Now, what is Kalapam? Being performing for so many years the three Kalapams, I just want to be more practical than the reading out the history and all, because I have given it. Even the definition of Kalapa, by narrating how it is, you people only can judge what exactly the Kalapa means. Now, you all know the Siddhendra Yogi is the founder of Kuchipudi Kalapa tradition and held in all esteem that he is the forerunner of the Kalapa tradition. And we have usually four Kalapas like Bhama Kalapam, Golla Kalapam, Dadinama Kalapam, and Chodigadi Kalapam. Though it is mentioned that Chodigadi Kalapam was there, but I couldn't find anyone in the old gurus performing the Chodigadi Kalapam. And when I started performing the Dadinama Kalapam, everybody said it is not Pagative, it is not Kalapam, it is Pagativation. But during my research, I found it's because it is the Yakshagana script, and it has all the qualities of Kalapa, which I will be narrating again. The first reference we have from the Machupalli Kaifiyat, when we are referring to Bhama Kalapam, usually we give the Machupalli Kaifiyat reference that is performed by Kuchipudi Bhagavatulu in the court of Veera Narasimha Rayalu in the 15th century. but nowhere it is mentioned that Bhama Kalapam is presented. They said if a Kelika was presented, in between that they performed the atrocity of Guruvaraj. I feel by the time the name Bhama Kalapam was not there. So in some places we call it as Kelika, we get the reference as Kelika, sometimes as Kirtana, sometimes as Harikatha. So this could be the reason, because it is Kelika means for the entertainment it is performed, so they must have called it as Kelika, or it is the about the Krishna God, so it is the Kirtana. It must have the name of the Kelika or Kirtana must have come. Now, when you see the philosophies behind, only in Kuchipudi you will find this great, in other traditions you will not, with entertainment preaching the people of elite and others about the great philosophies of Dvaita and Advaita Siddhanta. And Bhama Kalapam, if you want to, because Siddhendra Yogi, I want to mention it here. Everybody says we don't have reference. There are so many yogis and sages where we will not get the references that where they have born and who are their parents and all. We have to do further more research to find out. Now, the Siddhendra Yogi, who is the Siddhendra? You all know around the Bhakti movement, Madhvacharya, he introduced the Dvaita Siddhanta and established Udupi Mutt and propagated the Vaishnava Sampradaya. And his disciple Narahari Tirtha, who was the minister for Kalinga also for some period, and he was also propagated the Bhagavata Tattvam through his Harikatha. He wrote many Harikathas and he propagated. When he came to Srikakulam, the Kuchipudi village head, the Siddhappa, his name is, or Siddhaya, or whatever it is, this boy was an orphan, but he was very clever. So this village head took this boy to Narahari Tirtha and told him, please give him good education because he is very sharp. Then Narahari Tirtha took him to Udupi and gave him good education. By the time the Parijata story was very prominent in Telugu region, and the Jayadeva's Gita Govindam also was very influencing many artists, dancers, poets, and everybody. So definitely that influence must have on Siddhendra Yogi also. He also wrote as Parijata. It is said that it is Parijata Paharana. So being the influence, having the influence of his guru, Narahari Tirtha, and the influence of Gita Govindam, he must have written this Parijata Paharana. And it is written as Harikatha. This also, how I am saying is, there is a reference by Chinta Ramanathan Garu in a small booklet. It is about the Kuchipudi Trayam. He published with the aid of Nritya Academy. In that, the first Kanda Padyam he has mentioned, Janulara Vinudi Harikatha Vina Veduka Galgenani Vinula Koladin Konadi Karnamrutamunu Ganudagu Siddhendra Yogi Kavita Rachanan. So it is saying it is Harikatha. Now when we see the qualities of this Bhama Kalapam, usually it say Kalapams are Srigaditam, has Lakshana, but it is having only Bhama Kalapam has the Srigaditam Lakshana, where the Uttamanayika is talking about her Nayaka to her maid or friend. That is Srigaditam. But Gola Kalapam is not like that. It is completely different in nature and the treatment. If you see for this, I say, after my research and understanding, I feel these Kalapas having the characteristics or lakshanas of Rupakas. Now, there are so many scholars who have explained the development of the Dasharupakas, which Bharata has explained. So, among them, Bhana, Vidhi, Prahasana, Anka, and Vyayoga. These 5 are Ekankikas. And in these Rupakas, the plot will be small. Hence, these may be considered as the premier stage of the Rupakas. Among these 5, Bhana is the Ekaharya. Only one person will be there. It includes the word of Akashika Bhashita, that means aerial speech, with relevant movement of the limbs and gestures. So, the Bhana is the first stage of evolution. I feel after learning the Dadinamma Kalapam, where the Bhojakanya is completely doing the Akashika Bhashita, where she is asking for the help. You know, that I just want to read that one. Char samanudai teche sapiyum chajala o bhunsurulara vidipimpa chudarayya charananna rakshinchu shatrula shikshimpagala Rajulara Kavarayya Nalararu Navanidhanamu Kaligina Vaishajanulara Nan Dayaseyumayya Yennaga Dharma Mula Sampada Kaligina Shudra Janulara Duravastava Paraya. Here she is seeking the help from the Brahmins, from the 4 Varnas, the Kshatriya, Brahmana, Vaishya and Shudra. Anybody, please help me. And there is nobody. She is arrested. She is tied with a cord and she is left alone in the forest. And she is taking the help. And it is completely Akashika Bhashita, the Dadinamma Kalapam, if you see. So, I can say the Dadinamma Kalapam has the characteristics of Bhana. And the next one is Vidhi. Vidhi is also like Bhana, but there will be 2 characters. And in that, one will be the superior character and the second will be middling or inferior character. And any rasa can be displayed. Any of the 13 angas can be included. Hence, we can say Vidhi must have been the second stage. So, we can see the characteristics of this Vidhi in the Bhama Kalapam and Golla Kalapam also. So, we can say these 2 Kalapas are having the Lakshanas of Vidhi. From Vidhi, the Anka developed, and from Bhana, it is the Prahasana. And the 5th variety, what I said in the minor, the first stage of the Rupakas, that's Rupakas, Vyayoga, which is completely with the fights and the commotion, it is separatedly, it is developed separately. So slowly in the development of the Rupakas, the content of the plot has been increased and the number of characters also have been increased to form the Bhima, Ihamriga and Samavakra, and later again completely the full-fledged the Rupaka called Prahasana and Nataka developed. Even there is a reference in the text called S.C. Jogarao Garu's Smiles of the Muse, a collection of essays and edited by our Pappu sir. It's a wonderful essays compiled into one book. Bhama Kalapam, Jogarao sir says that Bhama Kalapam has something in common with at least one type of Uparupakas, but the other Golla Kalapam doesn't come under the scope of recognized type of Uparupakas. Yet it contains the essential features of an Rupaka. then what exactly Kalapam means. Jogara sir says that it will not be, Kalapam will not be having much of story. A small incident will be depicted or dramatized lengthy way with so many songs, padyams and all. In Telugu, there is a small definition is there. Godu cheppukotam. Godu cheppukotam means what? Godu means what? My plight. You know, whatever the character is telling about her plight. If you see the Bhama Kalapam or Golla Kalapam, Dadinamma Kalapam, Satyabhama in Bhama Kalapam is telling her Godu. Golla Kalapam, she is also telling her Godu. And in Dadinamma Kalapam, the Bhojakanya is telling her Godu. And the main characters, if you see the characters in the Bhama Kalapam, it is 3 characters. Krishna's character only comes in the last part, but Bhama, Satyabhama and Madhavi. And Madhavi is a not real character. You will not find in any Bhagavata Puranas this Madhavi character, but Satyabhama is there. It is the creation of Siddhendra Yogi, because he wants to convey the message that what we have, the soul, is a normal soul. So you should
Ramaka, I'm sorry for interrupting. Much as we really enjoy what you're saying, it saddens me to say you have about 4 minutes to go. 3 to 4 minutes to go.
Okay. So I'll finish with 4 minutes. Yeah. And the 3 Kalapas, I mean, the philosophy I'm saying behind the Kuchipudi Kalapas, the props they use, Satyabhama uses the Jada, which is, you know, a representation of ego. You know, in Andhra, it is Jada is very important. Even Bapu Bomma also we can see the Jada. And after, when she becomes a widow, they shave completely the head, so that she will not look any more beautiful. So the props they use, Bhama Kalapa Jada, is conveying this beauty, everything is temporary. And in Golla Kalapam, it is the pot what the Golla Bhama holds, a mud pot. The pot, we fill everything, we enjoy everything, but it came from mud. Once it is broken, it will go into the mud again. And in the Dadinamma Kalapam, she's tied in between the cot. We all are tied up in this mundane relations, bondages, selfishness, all these things come out of it. Which tradition teaches so much of philosophy with entertainment. And the story will be very, as I said, there is no story. In Bhama Kalapam, Madhavi asked, why Krishna is not coming to you? Why, what the fight happened? Okanadu, Hamsatulika Talpambupai, Saina Mandiramulo, Saininki Undaga, Swamivaru Epinchi, Nannu, Tatti Niduraleti, Sakalabharinamulanu Dharinpachesi, Niluvu Taddam Mundu Nilipi, Satyabhama, Neevu Andagatteva, Leka, Nenu Andagaadana, Ani Adigi Neevu Oyamma, Intaki Samadhanam Cheptava, Talamaham Vesi Kuchunnava. Even the language, as Bharata said, the Uttama character will be using the Grandhika and the Adhima character will be using the Mandalika, Vyavaharika. Then she says, Adabuddhi, Aparabuddhi Kanaka, Nene Andagatinantini. Handuku Swami Variki Kopamu Vachi, Haligi, Kasiri, Gunalechi Poyani Oyamma. So this is the reason for the fight. And the entire 3 hours or 2.5 hours what we are performing now, the Bhama Kalapam, depends or stretches on this one. And in the Golla Kalapam, it is purely philosophical. It is completely the Advaita Siddhanta. The soul is not having any death. Only body will perish. The moment the soul will leave the body, we'll cremate it or we'll bury it. So what greatness it is there? He says, Janmana jayate Shudraha. By birth, all are equal only. How you have born, even I have born in the same procedure. And the greatness of Kuchipudi Bhagavatalu, when the science has proved the embryology and explained how the birth takes place, the X chromosome, Y chromosomes, or the sperm, ovum, and everything, though our Vedas have spoken about it long time in the ancient and Vedic time, but our Kuchipudi Bhagavatalu in the 18th century, they made it as a kalapam or entertainment. Actually, what Kuchipudi Bhagavatalu performs is the Bhagavatala Ramaya Garu's Atma Yagnam. This Atma Yagnam, when it became Golla Kalapam, we don't know. Parijata Apaharanam, when it became Bhama Kalapam, there is no who changed it. When it started to call as Bhama Kalapam or Golla Kalapam, we don't know. And in Dadinama Kalapam, they say Vesakada. The Gaddipadu Bhagavatalu used to perform the Pakatikika Vesakada. In Dadinamma, it is every character, Bhama Vesha Vesani Vala Nenu, Pausha Vesha Vesanu, Dadinamma, and the Bhojakanya, how she was called as Dadinamma. These are the things the young generation has to do more research on these things. You all Kuchipudi dancers, research scholars should take up these points and find out the facts. How Bhama Kalapam, when started, Parijata Apaharana, whether it is Parijata Apaharana or not, Atma Yagnam, when it's called as Golla Kalapam, Leelavati Vijayam, actually I forgot to say that Dadinama Kalapam is Leelavati Vijayam Yakshagana, which S.C. Jogarao Garu said that it is Agnata Rachayita, his name is Agastya. He wrote. So thank you so much. I hope I can conclude here. I thought I will.
Thank you very much, Akka. Thank you very much, Akka. We'll go over to Sumitra, who will take it up from here. Sumi.
And thank you, Rama, for all that wonderful introduction. Yeah, actually, in order to understand any classical dance tradition, one must study the different facts of the art form, such as its origin, history, and the theoretical background, in addition to considering the contemporary socio-political and cultural context, probably which includes language, music, custom, tradition, and everything, which so beautifully were depicted by Dr. Ramadevi, and she made my job much easier for, with all the introduction. Thank you, Rama, once again. To start with, I need to give you a brief introduction about my presentation so that all of us are on the same page. We'll be on the same page. So in this webinar, I draw on some of the significant or less seen or less observed aspects of both the Kalapams. Okay, and for which I don't think so I have time to give you the darus and the script and everything. But to start my presentation, I feel so far whenever we talk about the Kalapams, either it is Bhama Kalapam or Golla Kalapam, most of the scholars have covered majority of the topics, be it aesthetics or whatever it is. So I was thinking, why can't I take up something which is related with the spirituality and connect with the spiritual aspects and see that, anyway, while talking about the philosophical approach to Bhama Kalapam, everybody talks about the egoistic nature of Satyabhama and Jivatma trying to unite with the Paramatma. All these concepts were well researched and well presented by previous scholars many a times. So I thought of assimilating some of the Vedantic aspects or approaches, and I tried to make a connection between the Bhama Kalapam and those topics. And before that, I just would like to start with a quote of Saint Poet, or a song of a Saint Poet saying, Annamacharya, Saint Poet Annamacharya Kirtana, Enta matramuna evvaru talasina, anta matrame neevu. Okay, I hope you all know the meaning of it. Annamaya introduces the God to be whatever one's mind visualizes. Similarly, the story of the Bhama Kalapam and the glory of Lord Krishna are envisioned by many poets in many different ways. So the research scholars have presented papers on Bhama Kalapam, as I was mentioning, in various perspectives ranging from aesthetics, Sringara Rasa, Aharya Abhinaya, philosophy, and so on. Hence, I would like to look at these Kalapams from the perspective of self and the society. So these are the two main important features that I would like to focus on: the self and the society in a larger this thing. Again, when I say self and the society and the self, I wish to discuss with the aspects of Vedanta, philosophy, and the aesthetics. So now the objective of my presentation is to emphasize that dance is a medium to attain spirituality. This is the main objective of the Kalapam presentation today. So kindly excuse me for the compartmental presentation that I'm going to do. Okay. Something went wrong. Okay. So today my presentation will be totally on compartmental basis. So kindly excuse me for that, because I wanted to give you a new perspective altogether for the Bhama Kalapam, right? So it will be in bits and pieces. The explicit factor or goal of any dance performance is undoubtedly entertainment only. Yet, when we analyze the creative genius of these Kalapams, we always find a new dimension in the very treatment of this particular Darus. Both in Bhama Kalapam and in Gola Kalapam, they manifest certain unique aspects, although the allegories were taken from the Puranas. When we hear the stories from our Puranas, we think that those are the stories typically dealing with the rituals and, of course, bhakti. But there are many insights. Only thing is we must focus on that in order to understand those insights. And all the insights were carefully and very intelligently incorporated into these two Kalapams. Self and society, when I say self and society, self can be, put in under many headings, like, the word self has got different meanings in different contexts. Generally speaking, self includes self-confidence too. So, if at all I want to give an example for self-confidence, in the opening Darva, the Pravesha Darva of Satyabhama, the opening refrain of the main Darva of Pravesha Darva, Bhamane Satyabhamane. You see a lot of confidence in Satyabhama, describing about her courage, her self-confidence, her confidence about her beauty, her position among her co-sisters, her wealth, everything. You can see the proudness of her self. Okay. That is one aspect of looking at self. But in terms of Vedantic perspective, what exactly the word self means. In Vedantic terminology, the self is always covered by Maya. Maya is nothing but an illusion, as you all know, which means that is not real. So it is an illusion that we experience as real. So this philosophy, this particular philosophy of non-dual system of Vedanta is preached through the characters of Satya and Krishna. As Ramadevi was mentioning after the Pravesha Darva of Satyabhama, the entire Kalapam starts with the dialogue between Krishna and Satyabhama. As she narrated the story, Satya was asking Krishna, who is much more beautiful among us? And innocently, Satyabhama answers that she is more beautiful than Krishna. This itself is a classical example to quote, say that Satyabhama is covered by Maya, right? She is ignorant of the Maya, she's innocent, okay, and she's affected by Maya, hence she says that she's more beautiful, okay. Here we must all understand that Satyabhama is representing all of us who are ignorant about the truth that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Napara. This universe is an illusion, and the Brahman, the Paramatma, here in Bhama Kalapam, the Krishna, is only the reality. He is the Satchidananda Murti, Satchit Ananda Murti. Satyabhama, as she's affected by Maya and she's ignorant about everything as she's covered by Maya, she's also suffering out of all these Arishad Vargas. As you all know, the Arishad Vargas, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, and Mada Matsaryas. Let's quickly look at these Arishad Vargas and how Satyabhama got affected by all these things. Kama, you see in Bhama Kalapam, Satyabhama is longing for Krishna or pining for Krishna, to unite with Krishna. This is nothing but Kama in general sense. Krodha is anger, nothing but anger. We see the Kandita Nayaka Avastha in Bhama Kalapam many a times where Satyabhama argues with Krishna. There you can find it at the Krodha Lakshana in Satyabhama. Lobha. Lobha is peevishness. Initially, when Satyabhama asked Madhavi to carry the letter to Krishna, Madhavi asked for the nose pin, and initially Satyabhama didn't want to give away her nose pin to Madhavi. This is a classic example for Lobhatva. Moha is a desire, and you can see that Satyabhama wanted that Parijata flower or the tree as Krishna promises for Parijata tree. This is what, Satyabhama is being affected by Arishad Vargas, Moha. Mada is nothing but ego, and she's highly egoistic, as you all know. Matsarya is nothing but jealousy. And in some of the Darus, it is depicted that, she's jealous of Rukmini as Krishna is more dearer to her, or, she's also jealous with the other co-wives and, the 7 wives of Krishna. So you can see all these Arishad Vargas are affecting Satyabhama. This is due to the Maya, right? Otherwise, you can say that Satyabhama is a Sviyanayaka and she is a representative of Lakshmi. We see that, she's nothing but goddess Lakshmi, the avatar of goddess Lakshmi. So for a common man to understand all this Arishad Vargas and, covered by Maya and everything, unless you keep entertaining the common masses and try to educate them, it is not possible for them to understand these concepts. Hence, I feel this Kuchipudi Bhagavatul must have adopted this particular technique in order to educate them about all these things, right? So to get rid of this Maya, we need a spiritual guru. Madhavi, the confidant of Satyabhama, in the form of a guru, constantly helps her to get over this illusion. And again, talking about the self in many branches of knowledge, of psychology, philosophy, and the word self itself represents the word ego also. When you talk about ego, it is a self, it is always referred to ego also. Ego means a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance, right? So in Bhama Kalapam, we find the sense of self in the form of self-esteem. Whereas in Gola Kalapam, self-importance is dealt to a very large extent. So in Bhama Kalapam, the self is especially contrasted with the another self or the world. The Kalapams have thrown insight into understanding the self in order to get over the Maya and the ego. For this, one has to understand the term self. We all know that non-dual system of Vedanta, the self and the supreme are one and the same. When we talk about, as Rama was mentioning about the Dvaita and Advaita philosophies, in the Advaita philosophy, the self and the supreme are one and the same. Having said that, the human quest for understanding the self and the higher consciousness is as ancient as Vedic period, which is manifested through literature, rituals, performing arts, and whatnot. So understanding the Supreme is called as Brahmajnana. And this understanding the Brahmajnana, same idea is represented in both the Kalapams in a very subtle way. So let us carefully examine how one can attain this Brahmajnana through this Kalapams probably. So the Mundakopanishad says, if you want to know what is Atma or what is the Brahman, how can you really understand this? In what way can you really understand this? So in order to understand the Brahman, the sadhaka has to continuously practice 4 things. And what are they? Satya, Brahmacharya, Tapasya, and Samyajnana. I repeat, Satya, Brahmacharya, Tapasya, and the Samyajnana. So by practicing these 4 means, what is that one is going to obtain or achieve? One can achieve Kshina dosha. That means decrease in the doshas or sins. Decrease in the sins will lead to salvation, obviously. Papa Punya varies, we call it in Telugu, if your Punya is more, if you do more Punya karyas, your Papa will get reduced. So it is the Kshina dosha. So when your Papa, your sins hits 0, then there is no Papa and you are full of Punya. Thereby, you are eligible to get the salvation, liberation. So I would like to assimilate some of these concepts with the Kalapa Darvus, as I find Kalapa performance is a Jnana Sadhanam. It's not only, just like in Gola Kalapam, we always say that, it is one of the Jnana Sadhanam, Atma Yajna Sadhanam and all. Jnana Sadhanam means, I mean to say, it's a tool to realizing the ultimate. So let us try to understand these 4 concepts, Satya, Brahmacharya, Tapasya, and the Jnana. And how can we find these concepts in Kalapam, or how these concepts were incorporated into Kalapam in different Darvus and all. Satya. Satya in general meaning, it's truth or being truthful. To give you the details and everything, because of the time, I may not give you the list of Darvus. I'm not going into the details of different theories of truth also here. Let me reserve it for another rainy day, then we can discuss in detail. When it comes to the top, Satyabhama being the Sviya Nayika, she's truthful and loyal to her Lord and seeks the true love from the beloved also. So in terms of truth, when you compare it to the Bhama Kalapam, let us stick to that particular statement only. So when we talk about the real truth, let me discuss when I go to the concept of philosophy. Then we will discuss more on truth there. And the second one is tapasya. You all know the general meaning of tapasya is penance. And we can also say that a continuous effort to attain a goal or an objective can be called as tapasya. So how do you see that a continuous effort is made in Bhama Kalapam? We all know that the various means adopted by Satyabhama, sending a lekha to Krishna or performing Punyaka Vrata, if it is a Parijata Parana Yakshagana. In Bhama Kalapam, you will not find this Punyaka Vrata episode, but in Parijata Paranam, you will have this particular episode of performing Punyaka Vrata and other efforts made by Satya to unite with the Lord Krishna. So you see a continuous effort made by Satyabhama. Okay, in Gola-Kalapam also, you find Gola-Bhama continuously try to educate the Brahmin, saying that Brahman is only one. She uses all the analogies referring to many Upanishads, just like, making use of the gold and the mud. She says the gold is one, but yet when you look at the different kinds of ornaments, we have different kinds of names. Here we call it as earrings, and this one is called as chain and everything. But when you melt everything, you only see the gold. So gold is one, but the ornaments are named after different names. Similarly, the Brahman is one, and whatever you see, all the species on this earth, whatever you see, you call them with a different name. But when you look at from the point of the soul or the Brahman, which is existing in those species, it is the same. This is the philosophy, or continuously she's trying to make an effort to convince the Brahman that Brahman is the one who exists in all the species. Okay. Third one is Brahmacharya. So we dealt with Satya, we dealt with tapas, and the third one is Brahmacharya. This is quite interesting. So the generic meaning of Brahmacharya is celibacy, as you all know. So observing celibacy is only one of the thing that one has to follow in Brahmacharya. in addition to observing celibacy, obtaining the knowledge of Brahman and developing the control over the senses are the major duties of a brahmachari. So here I would like to focus more on obtaining the knowledge of Brahman and developing control over the senses. These two are the major things along with observing the celibacy. So when you talk in terms of celibacy, in entire Bhamakalapam, nowhere we discuss about the Sambhoga Shrungara. It is all about the Vipralamba Shrungara. And here I think that I can fulfill the term celibacy here. I just took it in that sense. And one more aspect is, I hope all of you are aware that why Krishna wears a peacock on his head, saying that, you know, he never had any kind of physical thing with any of the Gopikas or his wife. And nowhere we find this in any of the Puranas or allegories, nowhere you find it. And to show the purity of Krishna, just like a peacock, how it does the intercourse and everything. So the peacock is a symbolic representation of purity. Here also, that's why I'm saying you can fulfill this celibacy, the brahmacharya into the Krishna and the Satyabhama relation also. Because philosophically, when you talk about Satyabhama pining or longing to meet Krishna, it is only the Jivatma pining to unite with the Paramatma, but not for the physical, love or affection or something like that. It is the human brain that thinks in that way. But the conception, originally it is conceived in such a way that, you know, Jivatma is pining to unite with the Paramatma. The fourth in the order to understand the Brahman is Samyak Jnana, which is the knowledge of Brahman. Many stories from different Upanishads talk about attaining the Samyak Jnana. Right from Nachiketa to Satyakama, Jabala, everybody gained the knowledge of Brahman with a lot of industry. In Bhamakalapam, when you look at the dialogues of Madhavi and Satyabhama, and Madhavi keeps on educating Satyabhama or try to, tell the glory of Krishna and help Satyabhama to realize the Brahman ultimately. And of course, we end the Bhamakalapam with the Bangaru Pula Puja Chaitva, as she understood, that Satyabhama realizes that Krishna is supreme and of course the ultimate. So along with the practice of all this Satya, Brahmacharya, Tapas and Samyak Jnana, the sadhaka should able to feel the Paschatapa and follow a system called as Alinga. So in the beginning, with all her attitude, Satyabhama abused the moon, the wind, the Lord Krishna, and which is an indication of her ignorance, right? Later, she realizes some mistakes, as and when Madhavi keeps on checking checking on her mistakes. So this realization, we call it as Paschatapam. Importance of repentance is also should be considered by the Lord in order to forgive us. You know, realizing one's own mistakes and repenting leads to salvation. This is what the Rishi says. And this is what we see in Bhamakalapam also. Madhavi, who is designed as an alter ego of Satya, directs her in each and every act and helps her to realize her mistakes. I told you earlier also. So at the end, seeing Satyabhama's repentance, Lord Krishna forgives her, and there, once again, they are united. This is said by Dr. Swapna Sundari Garu. In the Vedantic terminology, Alinga is advised for a devotee or a seeker for salvation. So let us understand what is the term Alinga is. According to Chandogya Upanishad, Alinga means a scientific way to achieve something. Alinga means a scientific way to achieve something. So in spiritual and Vedantic connotation, it could be a penance or performing a yajna or a meditation and so on. So here in Bhamakalapam, how can you really talk about an alinga or a scientific way of achieving something? Since we are talking about the performing arts, in terms of Vedanta or Vedantic terms, we talk about penance, meditation, and everything. But in terms of aesthetic pleasure and aesthetics, what is that one can adopt? for this continuous journey of Rasananda, because I see that Rasananda is equal to the Brahmananda. So similarly, when you try to assimilate these things, try to correlate these two terminologies, I find under the aesthetics, you have Dasavidha Kama Avasthas and the Anubhavas, right? So Dasavidha Kama Avasthas in different kinds of Anubhavas. We all know that the Samyoga of the Vibhava and Anubhavas leads to Rasanbhava, which is equivalent to Brahmananda. And Vibhavas are followed by Anubhavas. And these Anubhavas are experienced through Trikaranas. We know the Trikaranas, Mano Vakayas are called as Trikaranas. When you say Mano Vakaya, when you translate them and when you try to correlate them into the dance terminology, Mano Vakaya. Mano is nothing but the Satvika Bhavas, Vak is nothing but the Vachikabhinaya, Kaya is nothing but the Angikabhinaya. So Mano Vakayas are represented through the Satvika Bhava, Vachikabhinaya and the Angikabhinaya. And some of the Anubhavas that were mentioned by Bhoja in his Saraswati Kantabharanam are Smarati, recollection, which is equivalent to the Dasavidha Kama Avasthas, one of the Dasavidha Kama Avasthas, which is nothing but Anusmriti. Vanchati is an Anubhava or Vancha, which is nothing but desire. And when you try to look at the Dasavidha Kama Avasthas, it is the Abhilasha. Prayatate or the Prayatnam, an attempt, which is again equivalent to the Chinta of Dasavidha Kama Avasthas. And one more Anubhava, Manyate, the feeling that the nature is against her. So the Manmadha, moon, parrots, and everything, this is called as Manyate. And other Anubhavas are Avagahana, Bhavana, Vachana, and Chesta. So these are some of the Anubhavas, because I feel, many a times we talk about the Satvika Bhavas, Sthayi Bhavas, and, Vyabhachari Bhavas, all these things. But we never dealt with Anubhavas especially. We know that there are Anubhavas, but hardly, I think, people dealt with Anubhavas. So these are some of the Anubhavas. When you try to correlate these Anubhavas to the Dasavidha Kama Avasthas and again try to assimilate with the Vedantic terminology, I mean, this is a process through which one has to go through in order to attain that Brahmananda and the Rasananda in terms of Kalapa. Hope I'm clear to everyone, because hope all of us are on the same page. Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
Sumi. You have about 5 minutes, Sumi, so you might want to plan your talk accordingly.
Yeah, thank you. So to sum up, this Maya is ignorance. Ignorance means darkness. And our Upanishad quote says that Asatoma, Sadgamaya, Tamasoma, Jyotirgamaya, which means lead us from unreality to the reality, or unreal to real, and from darkness to the light. So, as I promised you that I'll be dealing with the truth, the ancient Indian traditional methodology of establishing truth has been through the method of constructive dialogue, discussion, and debate, besides lecturing and preaching. The traces of the dialogical methodologies according to the Nyaya Shastra, the Nyaya school of Indian philosophy, can be found in both the Kalapams. When you carefully observe the Kalapam structure and the treatment, some of the Darvus, especially Samvada Darvus, are adopted from one of the branches of philosophy. So out of the 16 types of methods that can be employed to derive at a conclusion or to infer something, Vada, Samvada, Jalpa are used in our ancient education system, which developed in building relationships and reconciliation between two individuals or groups and ideologies, or for a peaceful coexistence, one has to adopt this Vada and Samvada techniques. Further, I would say that a dialogue should be built not based on searching for unity and common truths, but on axiological experience of otherness. Therefore, a dialogue constitutes a starting point for building bridges for reconciliation. And this is what exactly took place in all the Samvada Darvus between Bhama and Krishna. To give you a simple example, one of the Darvus, Karpura Gandhito Kalayute Ledani, we only see that, there is a dialogue or an argument between Satyabhama and Krishna. But you try to realize that they are trying to establish the truth that the Krishna is the ultimate. And that's the reason we find it as the last Darvu in Kalapam also. So they have encapsulated into a small phrase the Leela of the ultimate into a small phrase. If you go through the Darvu, because of lack of time, I'm not able to expand it. So, Komma Channe Gudichi, Romme Gudinavani, Namma Vachunatara. That is the phrase. So, in that single phrase, you can see the entire Balakrishna, the Putana Samhara and everything. Similarly, Karuchichu Batte Kabalinchu Vaneki, Nippulanaga Entara. The entire Kanda Dahana episode has been encapsulated into a small single phrase, saying that he is the supreme in each and every episode of Krishna's life. You find, he is the supreme. And immediately after that one, you see the Bangarapula. That means it made Satyabhama to realize that he is the ultimate. For a common man who's watching all this, he can understand that, the supremacy of the Lord. So, I need to expand on that, but I hope you all understood. And I think I have to run. Anyway, as I told you, I will be covering the self and the society. So I would like to conclude with the society. Till now, we discussed about the self, understanding the self, and how we can relate with the Vedantic perspectives, to get enlightened ourselves through the performance of Kalapams. Okay, from that of darkness, we are leading to the enlightenment. So, coming to the society part of the Kalapam presentation, as we discussed, that primary objective of any performing art is entertainment. Moving ahead, the Kalapas and Yakshaganas of Kuchipudi repertoire have included and dedicated some of the characters and Darvus also to educate the common masses. The education includes social norms, etiquette, ethos, culture, customs, traditions, beliefs, practices, and so on. Kuchipudi Kalapas also threw light on superstitions like witchcraft, medicating a person, impact of the dreams, the good and bad omens, taking an oath, which are commonly associated with the Telugu-speaking people. Am I audible? So another important aspect which helps to eradicate the social stigma is the hierarchy of the caste system. As Rama was mentioning about all the Chaturvarnas, I just would like to show.
Is that the phone? Is your
Sumitra
phone
Garu,
busy?
go ahead, Sumitra Garu. That's fine. I think the noise is coming from Ramagaru, you. So that's why I just muted you. When you need to speak, you can unmute Ramagaru. But for now, keep it muted. Go ahead, Sumitra Garu. Continue.
So another important aspect which helps to eradicate the social stigma, the hierarchy of the caste system. And both the Kalapas have advocated, inclusiveness of all the castes. While the dialogue between Bhama and Madhavi, where Satyabhama narrates or describes about the attributes of Krishna without uttering his name, Madhavi on purpose feigns ignorance about her husband, who he is and all, she refers to, as you all know, the dialogues, she refers to the Chanchukuravadu, the tribal folk, and, the potter with the wheel, and the forest dweller who wears the peacock feather and all. Here, we are trying to draw the attention of the audience by including them into the play. And this is a master move made by the Bhagavatul, I should say. Explicitly, it appears like it is intended to evoke the humor, but there is a subtle message of inclusiveness of all the people belonging to different castes. While Bhama Kalapam strikes a balance in this way, in Golla Kalapam, the Golla Bhama directly retards the Brahmin by saying that it is not the birth of the superior, it is not the birth in the superior caste that makes one superior, right? She also preaches the Advaita philosophy, the oneness of the Brahman, and utter futility of distinctions of caste, creed, and so on. And Rama was mentioning all these things. Under society, I would like to also say that, under social norms, Bhagavatul also tried to educate the masses on happy living, especially those who practiced polygamy. Some Bhagavatul enacted, Savatula Kayam also, wherein, Satyabhama and Rukmini were fighting with each other, Satya was defeated by Rukmini. This brings a subtle happiness to the common masses, in a way, which is a favorite darwa for the masses to follow. But finally, one should understand living in harmony is, living in harmony and unity is also equally important for a man. That is what it advises or advocates to the society. And to conclude, a perfect balance is stricken between nature and the universe. While the Jada or the bride of Satyabhama is a symbolic display of the entire universe and the constellation, the different darvus like Chandradushana, Vayudushana, and appropriate mention of the flora and fauna, cuckoos and parrots brings, in harmony with the nature also. So we all know the Darvus and Chandradushana, she blames the moon for increasing her agony, and the cool rays of with the cool rays of the moon. And the Vayudushana, she accuses the wind for causing discomfort and other things like that. Like this, if you keep on dwelling into the Kalapam, its Darvus and all, I feel the self and the society are the two major things that one can. And this is a different dimension to understand the Kalapa literature. So hope I could do some justice. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity, Papu sir and Raj garu.
Very nice. Thank you, Sumi. Thank you very much. So this really makes this discussion on Kalapams comprehensive. While Ramaka, while talking about Natya Shastra and the Shastra, she also talks about the contribution of the indigenous dance forms to solidify congenial form of the Kalapam that we have today. Sumitra brings out the Vedic and philosophical sides of the Bhama Kalapam. Thank you very much, both of you. Maybe we can take questions now. Sridevi, can I request you to look at that, the questions, please? I can't see all of them.
So no problem, Yashoda garu, we will help you. So anybody who wants to ask a question, please raise your hand and we will call out your name. So that way we don't speak over each other. So anybody, any question is a good question. We have a wonderful faculty here. Much of our Department of Kuchipudi faculty is, and we have some professors from Bharatanatyam also. And, Papu sir is here, and we can have a discussion. We still have probably 10 to 15 minutes that we could spend. And just wanted to let you know, University of Silicanandra, our website, we will post this recording there for later viewing also. We have wonderful seminars, from last summer also, you would find them there. And we have another topic coming up tomorrow, Adhunika Yoga Kartalu from Telugu department. So please spread the word. My request is University of Silicanandra is a non-profit organization. We are trying to create a platform for, budding artists and scholars to take their quest to learn more through our programs at the university. So please spread the word. And our next semester, fall 2021, starts on August 16th. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this session, we have 5 departments: a department of Kuchipudi, Carnatic music, Telugu, Sanskrit, and Bharatanatyam. And from fall 2021, we are offering master's programs in Veena and violin also. So with that, more details on our website, and you could reach out to us for further information. Write an email to admissions@universityofsilicanandra.org, and we will get in touch with you to help answer any questions that you might have. So having said that, I have not seen anybody raise their hands yet. Go ahead, Kunuttu Reddy garu, you could speak up if you want to. If not, we can read, your question if there is anything here. So the question from Kunuttu Reddy garu is, why to use the term Advaita as against Dvaita? Why not to use Ekam, E-K-A-M, Ekam?
Thank you, sir. I am so delighted for an immediate, instantaneous and spontaneous response from you, sir. My pranams to you all. This question has been engaging my attention since several decades. Kindly enlighten me on this.
Okay, I will repeat the question again. This is a very, a deep question. Okay, it's not sure it's just for the Kuchipudi dance faculty. Anybody who wants to chime in, the question is why to use the term Advaita as against Dvaita? Why not use Ekam? Anybody can go.
Let me answer this question.
Papu sir,
Can you
please
hear?
sir, go ahead.
Yeah. Don't worry about if you don't see me, because I'm an Advaiti. You can see me everywhere. This is a wonderful question, Reddy Garu. Dvaitam is the word etymologically coined in philosophy to indicate the absolute Paramatma and the living soul Jivatma. Distinguish between these two, one, if you use Ekam, it will only indicate the absolute, not the living beings. So Dvaitam is the basic word from which you get all the other words. Dvaitam is the first word which indicates the oneness, the God, the absolute Godhead on the one side, and the living being on the other side. These two are two different is what is called Dvaitam. These two are one and the same is what is called Advaitam. And there is another which is called Visishta Advaitam, qualified non-dualism. Qualified non-dualism says that these two are two, but they are also one. See, what the basic difference between the three of them is indicated by using this term Dvaitam, because Dvaitam indicates the existence of, there is God, there is a human being, there is an absolute, and there is a living being. So indicate the two entities, Dvaitam is used. They are one and the same. We are referring, every word is refer back to Dvaitam. So Na Dvaitam is Advaitam. And there are no two things. There is only one thing. And whatever you are, you merge with him. That is Advaitam. And no, they are two different entities. That is Dvaitam. They are two different, but at the same time, they will still be separate, but still be one. That is Visishta Advaitam. So what I would perhaps try to stress, Reddy Garu, is Dvaitam is basic word. You can say Ekam, but you'll only talk about one. What are the two that become one? That is why we need to use the term Dvaitam. Did I answer your question? You have any supplementary questions on that, Reddy Garu? I don't hear him.
Madam, I am at a less than kindergarten level to understand the concepts of Advaita and as against Dvaita or Visishta Advaita. And it's very difficult to fathom the depth of your presentation, madam. I am just, I already submitted to you that I am a novice. Probably it requires some more times that I need to attend your sacred congregations, madam. It's only just by accidentally for the first time that I noticed this Silicon Andhra has become a university. Only yesterday I could see that, and today happens to be my birthday, and I am extremely lucky and fortunate to see all these divine beings. Oh my God! What a pleasant, how lucky I am to listen to Rama Devi Garu and Sumitra Devi Garu and other celebrities, madam. I am simply blessed. Only thing
Issue.
is this human being, to my understanding, is a non-entity, except that it is just a matter and an energy. Again, it doesn't have an individuality of any kind of self on its own. So my perception is there is nothing real and absolute other than this absolute.
Yeah, you are right,
All
Reddy
other
Garu.
things
Thank
are,
you very much. Reddy Garu.
all other
Reddy
things
Garu.
are imaginary, illusionary, and born out of ignorance, madam. This is what I understand.
Thank you.
Reddy Garu.
Thank
Reddy
you, sir.
Garu, thank you very much, Reddy Garu. You have first
It's okay, sir.
let us all wish you a wonderful happy birthday today.
Happy
And,
birthday,
Thank
Reddy
you
Garu.
so much, sir.
We
Thank
are
you so
happy
much.
that you are able to join us, and maybe this is not the forum to further discuss this topic on
Yeah,
here, because
sure.
this is
Sure.
with respect to dance. So we will
Yes.
deal with it another day. Thank you very much for your association with the Silicon Andhra University today. Thank you very much.
I continue my participation, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so we will move on. We have Aruna Garu who raised her hand. Aruna Garu, please go ahead and ask your question, madam. Aruna Garu.
Hello, namaste. Namaste to everyone. I am doing my MPA from Telugu University. It's a wonderful session and I learned a lot today. Thank you, Silkanandra, for Silkanandra for conducting like these sessions. Today my question is, I want to know about the Madhavi character in Bhama Kalapam. Why male are performing Madhavi character? I don't know, is it a right question or not? I don't know.
Every
But
question is a good question, madam. It's fine. So
Oh.
somebody from the Department of Kuchipudi, if they want to take it, please.
Yeah.
Sumitra.
Hello, Aruna Garu. So if you want from the perspective of Natya Shastra, so we have two kinds of parivaras, Antara and Bahya Parivar. Antar Parivaram is the one who lives with the, the princess inside the chamber. So for them, Bharata has advised only Napumsaka should be engaged. That is the reason we find Madhavi as Madhava when he is with Krishna, and Madhavi as, when she is with Satyabhama. So technically, only such neutral gender should be employed. And you see, Bruhanala is engaged to teach dance to Uttara also. So generally, this is the practice.
I just want to add here, it is not that the male is doing there, because the Sutradhari in Kalapas, there is no Sutradhara. The second character will be taking up all the responsibility of Sutradhara. So the Sutradhara costume, it is there. But if you see the script of any Kalapa, there is no Sutradhara at all. So the character Madhavi is as you, Sumitra and I said, it's an illusion character. You will not find in any Mahabharata or anywhere. It is only the creation of Siddhendra Yogi, just to remove, it's like a tool to remove the ego from Satyabhama. So there is no gender for this character. As it said, it is not Napumsak also. Somebody said that he is a transgender character. Madhavi is a transgender character. No, it is, yes, it doesn't have any gender, but it is not like transgender also. The attire, what we see in the Kalapa is Sutradhari. Kalapa, the Madhavi character also is portrayed as Sutradhari also. So that is why I think you got this doubt. Hope you're clear, Aruna?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the clarity.
Thank you. Any more questions? Please raise your hand or put it in the chat. We can probably take one or two more questions. And we will wait for the next question. I would want to take this opportunity to thank our wonderful faculty and our board of trustees, Dr. Amy, and our chairman of the board, Dr. Papu Garu, for joining us today. And I see several faculty members from Bharatanatyam and also Telugu and Sanskrit and music, Carnatic music joined today. So thank you all for joining here and for this wonderful session. So you can go to our website, universityofsiliconandhra.org/webinar, and you can see what are the next webinars coming in line. And also the recordings of wonderful seminars from last summer by our faculty. So please spread the word, and I'm sure you will not be disappointed by attending our webinars or even taking our courses. We have a wonderful curriculum, syllabus, and great faculty. And our focus is to create a platform to promote our Indian fine arts and languages. We want to make University of Siliconandhra the center of excellence for everything that we do. And we are we are welcoming all the hungry students to come here and soak up all the knowledge that we can offer through our programs. Thank you. And any more questions? One or two we can answer. Okay, so there are no more questions. Thank you everyone for joining again. We wish you a very good evening, and for everyone who joined from India, a very good morning. Have a nice day. We will see again on another webinar. Until then, keep smiling, keep happy, healthy, and we will see you back soon. Please spread the word. Namaste.